Hello, this is Denise Rembert, and this is Unblocked Blessings, a podcast created to help you think for yourself, think for change, and expand your consciousness. Today, we're going to be talking about self-sabotage. um, and the reason I wanted to talk about self-sabotage is because I myself struggle with doing this quite a bit. Like I literally have been on my journey to, you know, start a business and build a business in life coaching, speaking, and teaching spiritual and personal development or growth. And I started my business in 2016. Normally, I would be pretty embarrassed to even put that out there, but why? Like, literally, I'm telling you that my struggle has been me sabotaging myself. So, with that, I just want to kind of talk about some of the things I'll talk about is my journey. Some of the things I'll talk about is, just kind of the proof of why I understand so far where I am, why I struggle, and why people like myself, kind of we're one foot in, one foot out all the time because we find it difficult to move past the fear, among other things. Like, so I want to try my best to break self-sabotage down in a way that hopefully everyone who listens and views this podcast will be able to relate, right? With it in some way, shape, or form. This is my journey. This is my understanding of what self-sabotage looks like. So if there's someone who disagrees, great, let's talk about it. Hit me up in the comments and let's dialogue. We can even come on and do a show about it. That's pretty much how I feel about anything that I say because this is my understanding from where I sit right now about self sabotage. Um, on my journey, I've discovered the practice of self sabotaging. Now I knew what it was, back when I was probably in my 20s. You know, just because I had been to college and I, heard the word through different settings with professors and coaches and friends and everybody. So I knew, and I know, I've always known that I was potentially sabotaging my own self in many different ways. Um, Especially when it came to athletics, relationships, uh, just school in general. You know, I did so much sabotaging of myself. It was easy for me to blame, other people, other situations. But ultimately, as I sit in front of you, this camera right now, and I speak to you on this podcast, I know that most of those things, if not 99.9% of the issues that I struggled through, were because of me. Now, maybe I didn't know, maybe I didn't understand what was happening, and I didn't know that I was sabotaging, and it was easier because I was unaware of the things that I was allowing in my life or accepting in my life that would be also the thing that sabotaged my progress, right? Um, I have been on this journey, like I said, since 2016. I want to create a space for individuals to be able to listen to someone who comes from a place of, I'm not trying to sell you anything. When I do these particular things, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want people. to be able to have the option to get out of their own way if they want to. Because we essentially, you know, we're in our own way. Now we can argue semantics and we can talk about, but I have a husband who's abusive and I love him and I love my kids and he treats me wrong, but I do everything right. We can argue that that that's not necessarily you being in your way completely because the circumstances don't really align for you to be able to step away because you want to be there for your kids. You don't want the custody battle for whatever reason. There are going to be certain sets of circumstances that what I'm saying can't be 100% relatable. And that's just the nature of information. We don't always have all the answers to all the things correlating directly. But if it feels right to you or if it resonates with you, then maybe, just maybe, this is something you should, continue to listen to and also, you know, um, take heed to and go do some more learning, do some more personal development and decide for yourself. Like, remember, one of the things I want you to do is to be able to think for yourself. So if this is not in alignment with you, then it's probably not for you. But if it resonates in any small way, the possibility is there that there's some information that you can get out of this that will really help you move forward in life. Like, again, I don't claim to have all the answers for everybody. This is just my perspective from where I sit right now. So one of the things that I know, about self-sabotaging is it looks different and it looks different in different situations and different areas of life, but it's all the same. We're afraid of the things that we don't understand, that are not familiar. Um, we're afraid to fail. So a lot of us sabotage because we just don't understand that we really just self-sabotage because basically we're in control of the results if we don't try. We're in control of those results. We're in control of those results when, for example, I remember being having an opportunity to be in a relationship with someone. I may have dodged a bullet, so I won't say, that I missed my opportunity in this moment, but I'll say I recall being in a situationship with someone else and having an opportunity to move into a full-on relationship with someone else. I couldn't do it because in my mind, I couldn't leave the situationship because I was holding out for hope and that relationship would work, that it would turn into a relationship, it would work, and that I would then be able to experience a full relationship with this person. So the person that was in front of me was a good person, was a sweetheart, and maybe, just maybe, I should have given them a chance, right? Uh, I didn't. I sabotaged it. I allowed the situationship to come in and create havoc and just end that relationship or the potential of a relationship because I was afraid. Ultimately, I discovered that I was afraid to actually experience something like love again because I was also afraid that I would lose it, that I was going to be hurt, like I was being hurt from the situationship. So that was just one way that I've done it. Health wise, I I would think that I've been on a journey to lose weight, so I've fluctuated up and down. And I'm still on that journey, not where I want to be nearly, but it is a journey. But in the previous times where I've sabotaged myself because I've allowed myself the excuse to say, yeah, we don't have to work out today. Whatever happened, maybe my sister used my car, and because she needed to use my car, I was so frustrated that I decided that, you know, I'm going to stop going to the gym. Well, a couple things happened. Let me rewind. So basically, I worked downtown Cleveland, and there was a gym, a fitness, what was it? FitWorks, I think, right in the plaza. So I could catch the trolley to the gym, and my sister could pick me up from there. Um, what happened was, after about a year of me doing that, and I'm getting good, lost about 60 pounds, the gym closes. And me, because I'm not very good with change. Like, change for me is like, whoa, um, paralyzing, even paralyzing to the point where I can't function and move, you know, uh, quickly enough to get, back into the swing of things. So simply put, I knew I could have went to another gym, but it threw me off my square, my familiar. So once it threw me off my familiar, I stopped going frequently. And I blamed it, of course, on an external factor. I said my sister, needing to use my car was going to throw me too far off. But actually, I could have gone to the gym after I took her home because there were plenty of gyms that were available. I just didn't do the homework to figure out a better way because I was paralyzed from the change and the, oh my goodness, I'm going to fail. And I allowed myself to believe the story that I was telling myself that I was going to fail now because things weren't in place easily. You see what I'm saying? It got a little difficult, just a small little challenge. And I was so thrown off that I just stopped going. I sabotaged that moment, but I blamed it on my sister. Or just my sister needing a car. Not necessarily my sister, but my sister needing a car. Um, Other ways in areas, these are the areas where we self-sabotage in our lives the most. I would say finances. When you think about finances, think about it like we spend a lot of time trying to be the thing that some of us spend a lot of time trying to be, um, I guess, financially, just show the world anyway that we're financially on top of things. We got all this money, we're doing all these things, and we spend a lot of money or whatever. But in reality, we're sinking. We don't have the money that we portray to have, or we're living above our means totally, and we haven't taken any time to understand what we need financially. We just kind of operate from the place of lack. So most of us can get good money, but we don't know how to keep it. I'm one of those people who struggle financially, just making sure that everything is in order, right? But I'm on my journey, so I'm working on those things. And, some days I'm great, some days I suck at it. But I understand that about myself. It's not something that I'm lying to myself about. I am aware that I am a work in progress in a lot of areas. So one of the things that I am working on is building my financial portfolio, making sure that I understand what to do with money as I earn it, right? And how to save and all of those things. And people think that's easy. No, it isn't. When you haven't been taught, it's not easy to be a saver when you have learned how to live from check to check because that was the only thing available with your family because they probably didn't make as much money, or you grew up like I did for the most part with a single parent, or one parent barely there to contribute, and one parent doing all the heavy lifting. Um, and we'll talk more about this as time goes, but finance is one of the areas in which we self sabotage or sabotage ourselves in our ability to see above water. Health. I told you a little bit about my journey when it comes to weight loss and being healthier, and I've sabotaged myself more than one time. And with that, it's like a work in progress because it literally is something that, can happen pretty much every time you wake up. If you don't start the day off right, you're going to end up sabotaging yourself at some point throughout the day. And also understanding that you need to give yourself, some grace and being able to have a moment where you just decide today is going to be the day I cheat, you know, and then I'm back on it the next day. Um, but again, these are just areas in which we sabotage ourselves the most, and I think it affects us the most. When it comes down to relationships, I know that most of us, who are struggling to be in healthy, happy relationships, sabotage most of them because we're afraid of being hurt, or we're afraid of giving ourselves to someone only to find out that that relationship is going to end. Um, or putting so much stock into people and expecting them to be our everything, end all be all friend, lover, best friend, um, the person we make love to, the person that is the most positive in our lives. Like, don't get me wrong, I think that that person exists, and I think that, we'll find some of us will find that person because that's what we attract. You know what I'm saying? But even then, you still have to expect that the person that you're in love with, the person that you're in partnership with, may or may not always be exactly what you need and want them to be. So you got to find other ways to fill those voids. Not necessarily. Now, if a person is just mean and shit to you, and you don't want to be with them, then great. You should look for ways to escape that relationship. But sometimes, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and it ends up causing you more problems than not because you are putting so much stock and so much necessity in wanting that person to be everything for you. It's not always going to be the way relationships work out. So we got to be mindful of that and what our expectations are. Now, if you get blessed enough to meet someone that is everything to you, or if you already met that person, God bless you. Because again, I don't um, think that it's impossible. I just know that sometimes we sabotage ourselves because we go into a situation expecting people to be every single thing that you need wrapped up into the pretty little bowl that they come in, right? Um, so in relationships, that's how it's a fear that's there, and we'll talk more about it as we dive deeper into the topic. In careers, I think in careers it's different. It's going to look different for the level of careers you're in or whatever, but it's still the same. We're afraid of failure, so we don't even want to put our hat in the ring for a higher paying position or more responsibility. Um, we continue when we think about career sabotage. We continue to look at things one sided. We don't see, all the reasons why things may have not worked out the first time, but going back at it again, you may get the position, or you may get some position that you feel that will be available for you next. You know what I'm saying? But we look at a situation and maybe we didn't get the pay raise that we wanted, or maybe we didn't get the promotion that we wanted in that instant. But understanding that sometimes, you know, there are some things that we're doing that are cutting us off. Maybe it's our attitude. Maybe it's not showing up to work on a regular basis. Maybe it's not giving, other your teammates grace. Maybe it's giving them too much grace. Whatever it is in your career, and when take a look at what you're doing to sabotage yourself in that situation, because sometimes we most of the time we're sabotaging our own careers or not in our own opportunities, because we are not paying attention to everything going on around us. We just see based off of what we believe. And we're going to talk about those beliefs a little bit more. But I want to just go into what sabotage looks like. Like, what is the definition of self sabotage, right? So, it's when a person undercuts their own ability to complete a goal or accomplish something, right? And I've been doing that for a long time, so I know what that looks like. I'm an expert at self sabotage. In this moment, um, I'm successfully uh, giving that to someone else because I no longer would like to sabotage myself. So the reason I do this video is because I saw um, all the reasons why I couldn't today. So you may hear a little noise in the background. It's not the best lighting. All of that is true. But because I had no other option, I promised myself that I would do this video today. And the topic was going to be self-sabotage because I have been sabotaging myself for so long. I cannot continue to do that and be happy with myself. So this is me stepping outside of the self-sabotage and saying, I'm gonna get it done today. It may not be perfect. It may be noise in the background. The lighting may suck, but we getting it done today. All right. So, and to lead into that, right? The biggest thing, I think one of the biggest areas of self-sabotage is procrastination, right? Um, I'm a known procrastinator from many of the people who know and love me. Um, to be honest with you, procrastination to me, now that I've done my research, at first I thought, oh yeah, I'm a procrastinator. And I thought that was a fancy word, and it is. It's just a fancy word to say parts of it is laziness. Yes, it's laziness involved in procrastination. But the biggest part to procrastination is simply that you're afraid. Yeah, you're afraid. You're afraid of the unknown. You're afraid to step out and do something different because potentially you could be creating a path for success. But what comes with success is a lot of ask, a lot of responsibility. And I said a lot of ask. People want to ask you for things, to do things. And I think for some portion of me, there's some part of me that feels like I don't really want that responsibility because I do have to learn how to say no sometimes. And saying yes should really be something that comes from the heart. So it's almost like they don't have to ask me. I'm going to just do that anyway. But I think there's a fear there of having to turn people down. Um, Also, with procrastination, it's just, you know, afraid of success. Like being afraid of all of the things that come with success, you know, having someone, I mean, I look at videos and stuff all the time. I follow people on social media. I see how people get drugged through the mud, and it not even talking about celebrities, just talking about people who may be doing something like this, who may be bringing something to light for other people to enjoy and hopefully make them think or educate them on something, and how people drag people for it. And, you know, in the beginning, I wasn't here for that. I was like, yeah, I don't think I want people to be trying to guess about me, and know everything about me, or have negative things to say about me. I really didn't want that. But at this point, I've accepted that it is what it is, and people are going to say whatever they want to say. People are going to talk about my crooked glasses, my gap, whatever. But I have to do this. This is my purpose. So I can't care anymore about how people feel about me and my exterior, because my interior is being worked on, and it is very, 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 very loving. Like, I care for people. And the reason that I sit in front of this camera and record the way I do is because I want to help other people, like I said, get out of their own way. And if you're a procrastinator, you need to figure out why you're procrastinating. What are you afraid of? What is the thing that's scaring you about you taking the next step, one small step, in order for you to get to the next level? I know for me in the beginning, it was just I couldn't see myself doing this. I couldn't see myself. I thought, how am I going to do this? How am I going to help people? Who going to listen to me? Because I'm still battling with my weight. I'm still battling with, this. I'm still self-conscious about how I look. So a lot of my work went into to not giving a care about that. Ultimately getting to the place where it's like, I don't care. People can feel the way they want to feel about me. I have something to say, so I'm gonna say it. And I'm gonna put it in here, and it may not always be clear, but ultimately you'll get the message. You'll understand. Um, so if you're a procrastinator, please take the time to figure out why. What are you really afraid of? Sometimes that requires you going to a therapist. Sometimes you may need a life coach. Sometimes you may need both. Sometimes you just need to be honest with yourself about what it is that's stopping you from moving forward. Whatever it is, do a deep dive, because that's going to help you get past the procrastination. Um, another way we self-sabotage is having a negative mindset. And that kind of ties into um, generational and limiting beliefs. So I want to put them two together because I think they fit. The negative mindset generally is developed by how you're raised, what you experienced as a kid. And I developed a negative mindset generally from my culture. Growing up an African American youth, and um, also growing up knowing that I was a lesbian. I didn't have terms for it at 6, but I knew I liked women. At the time, girls, and I was 6 years old. At that time, at that moment, nothing had happened to me where I needed to be confused about nothing. After that, some things happened when I realized that I like girls. Yes, some things did happen, but before that, nothing had happened to me where so I don't agree with the whole, something had to happen to you for you to have feelings about the same sex. No, didn't happen that way for me. However, um, because of that, just the negative connotations, the stuff that was said to me as a kid, the things that were shown to me as an African American, and me um, having to understand that, you know, we were thought of as less than, you know, we, our culture wasn't treated especially proper by other cultures because of the color of our skin, and the stories that were made up about us, as in general, that black people or African Americans are predators and rapists and murderers and low class citizens and just basically dogs. You know what I'm saying? Um, Imagine being a young girl in junior high school, seeing Eyes on the Prize and understanding that they don't like us. As a matter of fact, they hate us. And at one point, because I didn't grow up in the Jim Crow era, I was born after that. So for me to see white only, blacks only, and see the difference in how we were treated from books, videos, they really didn't give us a way to unpack that. So if any teacher comes across this video and you're showing any kid something that could be traumatic for them in terms of how culturally and historically their culture was treated, please help them unpack it afterwards. And that also may require that you have someone like a counselor or somebody in the room as they're watching it. Because the thing that it does to someone like myself is make us very depressed and sad about the state of our culture, um, the way that others view us, the mistreatment that we had, that our ancestors had. That was really rough for me. And it may not affect everybody the same, but you got to think about it. And this is a sidebar. Just, I want you guys to think about this. Seeing stuff like that and then asking us to continue to learn and care about our education and care about what happens without any support. You didn't send anything home to say you need to sit down with your child and talk about this. You didn't have anyone available for us to kind of again unpack all of that with and talk about how it made us feel. And I remember we had to watch the whole Eyes on the Prize set, the whole I think it was the whole civil rights one. So it was long. It was quite a few uh, episodes, and it was hard. It was hard watching my people get dogs sicked on you and fighting for freedom or fighting for the right to vote and getting beat on, spit on, kicked, punched, put in jail, made to feel afraid to even try to fight that. And then on top of that, that anybody that tried to help us that didn't look like us was also in jeopardy. Yeah, that would make a person feel really helpless and hopeless. And for a long time, I carried that type of feeling with me. So, and then to go into that, add whatever family dynamics is happening. No one, so for me not to have a negative mindset, um, I would have been concerned that I was a robot or something because that would be strange that I had no feelings about any of those things that were happening. So negative mindset and generational stuff because again, generational curses happen and generational limiting beliefs happen because historically if a family member has only the history of black people to sit with and say they don't want to see us win, they don't want to see us succeed because they're afraid or whatever the reason is, and they're putting that in your head, then that's all you have. And then they show you the videos, and then you put those two or three things together and you think you're right. So, how am I supposed to succeed in this world? So, everything looks like it's against me, even though it's not. It may be in place to try to hold you back, but it's not necessarily against you unless you believe it is. But I digress from that. I want to move on. One of the limiting beliefs that I think I do want to touch on is how family would say something like money is the root of all evil. Let's unpack that a little bit. Money itself is not the root of all evil, but the love of money to a point that you love money more than you love human life, or you love money more than you love showing love to other people. Like, if you love money more than anything, then that's a problem. And that could be the root of all evil, because the love of money, if you love money to the point where you'll do anything to get it, keep it, then that's problematic. And that is also that belief, though, that just money is the root of all evil is kind of why a lot of us stay stuck in a place of financial ruin, because we think being rich means you're evil automatically. I mean, you got just look around, look at all the stories that talk about these rich people in hip hop and the rich people in Hollywood. You know, people talk about the fact that every single one of them has sold their soul, and honestly, I don't know. I don't know that, and I won't speak to that. That's not my platform to even discuss it. Even if I thought, yeah, maybe he did sell his soul, I have no proof of any of that. So I don't like to speak on that. What I do say is, if you're going to be someone who is in that particular profession, yeah, you gotta check yourself. You gotta go in understanding that there are people just like in regular life that will play you, that will set you up, that will have you thinking that they love you and will do anything to protect you. But at the same time, they're putting you in a position to be the next up. But they're also putting you in a position to where they have some control over you. So be careful what you do in the room when nobody else is there, or somebody might be there, but just be careful. Now, to go back to money is the root of all evil. The belief that that is the case is why we won't ever succeed at being rich, or being wealthy, or just having enough money to be able to do. You don't have to be rich. I could be 100,000 there and be great, you know. But we can't get. Some of us can't get beyond that if we want to, because we believe that rich people are evil, or we believe that people that make money are evil. We believe that people that find a way to collect lots of money are evil, and they don't care about other people. And I'm gonna say this, and like, I don't believe that all rich people are evil. I do believe that there's evil people who just so happen to have money. I do believe that. So, I think we have to be mindful. If that's a belief that we have, then the likelihood of us succeeding in life, where we have enough money to do the things that we want to do, and we're not living paycheck to paycheck, is going to be very small. The chances of it happening is very small if you have that limited belief. And that is how and why we sabotage ourselves, because we'll look at that and we'll be like, nope, I'm not going to do that, because that's selling my soul. And it's like they just want you to actually show up and, you know, promote something that you've been doing. You don't have to stay at the party on the after hour side, because, maybe stuff gets crazy afterwards. But to go to the party in the daytime, you might be safe because you're promoting. You're showing up and talking about what you did and just smoozing with the other people so they can see your portfolio. I don't know how any of that works, by the way. I don't. Um, Maybe, I'll have someone on one day who will be able to elaborate on that. But the thing is that if you believe that just having money is the root of all evil, you're going to sabotage yourself every time. Because guess what? If you hate something, your ego is not going to allow you to become something you hate. And if I look around, a lot of people hate rich people. I don't. I love them. They show you the blueprint. You don't have to follow every single thing, especially if it don't vibe with you. But there are places where you can sit and learn from rich people or people with, people that have done things successfully in their lifetime. And instead of us hating them, we should try to learn from them. Now, again, you can't learn from everybody, and maybe there are some real evil people out there doing evil things. I don't want to learn from them, and I won't vibe with them because I'm not on that wavelength where I'm vibing with people who are evil. So that's just how I feel about that. The only times that you will even see so much and hear so much about evil stuff is if your vibration is very very low. So be mindful of that. Another way we self-sabotage is because we don't want to be an imposter, right? Like, so for example, if there's something that you like, I'll just use me as an example because I have a lot of them. In the beginning, 2016, I started my business, but I didn't jump forward to do anything because even though I was a licensed social worker, I also felt like I needed to become a coach by getting my certification. And I didn't want to tell people I was a coach, but actually, I'm a coach. And I've always been. Um, and I did ultimately get my certification to do NLP. But before that, it was like I was hesitant to even do anything where to shoot a video even because I didn't want people to consider me an imposter. I didn't even want people to have the opportunity to call me out. So I had to go take care of my business. But I don't suggest that everyone do that because I do feel like you're not an imposter if you genuinely want to do something. Now, I'm not calling myself a doctor because I'm not, because then that would be an imposter. But my initials are DR, so don't play with me. I am a doctor by initial. Anyway, um, but just understand that you're not an imposter when you have a gift that you're trying to share with the world. If there are licenses and certifications that you need, of course you want to get them because the paperwork is the proof, right? But the work is also the proof. So continue to do the work. Continue to drop knowledge if that's what you're doing. Continue to teach. Continue to build businesses if that's what you're doing. You don't need an MBA to do it, but it helps that people take people take you more serious when they know that you have a degree. I don't know, but at the end of the day, we allow how we feel about other people, right? Because, clearly I'm not about to go to a doctor's office and this person tell me, well, I'm not technically a doctor, but I will want to operate on you to whatever. No, no, thank you. I'm not going to sit in on that one. But if someone tells me, they are a coach, a life coach, and they don't necessarily have a certification, um, but they give me credentials, they show me the work that they've done, or that I have a couple of sessions with them, and I'm feeling them because the work is where it's all at for me. But we feel some type of way about people not having letters behind their name. So we feel like we also need to do that in order to be for real and for us to be taken seriously. So I get it, but that just be mindful because sometimes that slows us down and then we turn into the person that just won't take the next step because I don't have a degree yet. And then you find yourself in this sunken hole because you don't feel like you're doing enough. And you're depressed and you hate yourself and you feel like a failure. All those things come from us self sabotaging ourselves and not truly understanding, why. But I want you to think about all these things I'm saying because I do believe that if if there's a goal that you're trying to accomplish it, but accomplish, but you're not taking the steps to do so, there's a deeply rooted reason why you are still sitting on the starting line and not headed towards the finish line. And the last one I want to say is it's real simple. Is we compare ourselves too much to other people. And in the day and age of social media, it's so much easier for us to see other people showing us their best life when in reality, some of them are not even real. Like, clearly, if I share something with you, it's one of my best moments, right? It's a moment, though. It's not my whole life, you know? And that's what I think we need to understand about social media. So, your friend and you are both on the weight loss journey. Maybe your friend is in a whole different state, but you know y'all both taking the steps to do what y'all need to do to get the weight off, and you just y'all started around the same time, but you had some hiccups, they've had some hiccups, but ultimately you see them and they've lost a good amount of weight, and you're like, sheesh, why can't I be like them? Why can't I lose weight like that? You know, you're not the same people. Your body's different, their body's different, your emotional self is different, your hormone levels might be different, your blood might be different, the food you eat might affect you differently because y'all might even be trying the same diet, right? We're eating the same foods. Girl, I ate grapefruit. Girl, I ate this. And then you're like, well, I lost 20 pounds in the last month. And you're like, well, I only lost 5, or I didn't lose any, or whatever. And I did work out and I did all those things, but I'm not losing weight like you. Why can't I be like you? The problem is you're comparing yourself to someone who's not you. And when it comes down to it, in so many ways we do that to ourselves. Think about it. When if you're a parent and you have kids and maybe your kid is struggling a little bit more than the next kid, you're comparing yourself to that parent because that kid is getting straight A's and your kid is not. Well, have you checked to see what's going on with your kid? Because it's not about you, it's about your kid. But you'll sabotage your kid because you're not paying attention to them versus thinking that you're a horrible parent because your kid is not getting all the grades that someone else's child is getting, or they're not as successful in school. Maybe your kid doesn't play sports, but that kid is playing all the sports. And your kid is a nerd, or your kid just wants to be in the house. You need to find out what's going on with your kid. It doesn't make you a bad parent. It just makes you need to pay more attention to what your kid is experiencing. Because if your kid is not interested in anything, there may be something else going on that you got to figure out. I hope this makes sense. I hope you guys are following me with this, man. Listen, I have sabotaged myself enough to know when, enough is enough. You know, am I perfect? No. Will I be perfect ever? Probably not. Will I sabotage myself again? Probably. It's a part of who I am at this point. It's something that I'm working on. It's something that I want to be more cognizant of and I want to do better at. I want to make sure that I'm not sabotaging myself out of my own journey because I'm here for a purpose. And it's not necessarily to be the richest person in the world, but it's definitely to bring a message of hope, promise, and to wake you up to your own true potential. So I want to end this video, but I want you to understand that again, the things that I say in this video, they're not for everybody. Maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you will. But what I do know is that if anything resonates with you in this video, then I want you to take the time to really start to be honest with yourself about what it is you want, how you want to show up in the world, and what you need to do to get out of your own way. My name is Denise. Remember, and I am your wake up call. This is Unblocked Blessings, and it has been a blast. And I hope to see you again on the next video. Thank you.